So the little exercise we're going to introduce you to today and that we're going to practice together is designed to get your brain and body lowering stress chemicals and producing feel-good chemicals automatically. So you will be doing it on purpose to begin with, but the more you practice this, the more your brain and body are getting conditioned to produce more feel-good chemicals, lower levels of stress chemicals. And the wonderful news is that to change your chemical state from stress chemicals of negative emotions to feel-good chemicals of positive emotions takes 60 to 90 seconds. That's all it takes. So there's a lot of information behind this, behind what we're going to be doing over these next few days. And there's a lot of the science behind it, how it works, and all of that information is in our courses. These sessions are just the practical side of it. So it's going to be very minimum amount of me explaining stuff and more of us actually doing it. But having said that, if there are any specific things you want to know, so if you have questions about the science behind it or how it works or anything like that, you're very welcome to ask those questions in the Q&A section, and I'll be answering those then. First of all, it's important to think of this, what we're going to be doing here, as a physical fitness program. So it's like a physical fitness program in that if you wanted to be able to get stronger and fitter, you would need to do physical exercise, physical training of some sort. So you'd go running, or you'd lift weights, or whatever it is. And if you just sort of went for a run today and then didn't do it again, that wouldn't make you fit, of course. Or if you did it today and then perhaps a little bit next week for a couple of days, that also your body wouldn't have time to process those changes and become stronger. In the same way with these exercises, the more you do them, the quicker it goes, the quicker you become strong and build your stamina, your emotional stamina, and the faster and more powerful the results will be. So your brain and body will become conditioned to feel good more of the time. Okay, so lowering stress, feeling good more of the time. So it's important to realize this is not just about when you do the exercise you experience the results. It's like becoming physically fit in that every time you do it, you're building and building on the previous exercises that you did. In addition to that, each day we'll be doing more, we'll be adding on to what we did before. So tomorrow we'll build on whatever we've done today, and so on up until Friday. The goal of this, so what we're aiming for, the end result, is two things. Number one, that you are able to, whatever's going on around you, and I know especially at the moment with the effects of the coronavirus and the situation that everybody's going through right now, the challenges, that you will be able to change your brain and body chemical state, in other words, your emotional state, from stress, whatever those negative emotions are, to feeling good quickly and automatically. So that's the first step, the first part of the goal. The second part of the goal is that you won't be triggered as much as you are now. So, we're all human, so we still have challenges, we still feel emotions, we still get triggered, but you'll be able to, it will be less dramatic, less frequent, and you'll be able to overcome those triggers much quicker and much more easily. Just a very brief overview, the way this works. Whenever you're feeling a negative emotion, the stress chemicals in your system that create that negative emotion cause blood to drain from the prefrontal cortex of your brain, where you do your cognitive thinking, to the back of your brain for survival. So that means whenever you're feeling a negative emotion, you literally can't think straight. So one of the reasons for doing these exercises is not just to feel better, but to bring your cognitive thinking back online so that you're able to be more creative, assess risk, your judgment, notice opportunities, and communicate more effectively. All of that you need that part of your brain. So stress chemicals that cause negative emotions like adrenaline, cortisol, those cause blood to drain from the prefrontal cortex. When you bring those stress chemicals down and you start producing feel-good chemicals like endorphins, serotonin, oxytocin, that allows blood to return to your prefrontal cortex so you can think clearly again. So that's the idea, is that doing these exercises it's about lowering stress, feeling better, but it's also about being able to think more clearly. All right. So thoughts are connections between neurons in the neocortex of the brain, and those connections create matching chemicals. So to put it simply, negative thoughts trigger stress chemicals, which drain blood from your prefrontal cortex. Positive thoughts create feel-good chemicals, which allow blood to return to your prefrontal cortex. So the idea behind what we're doing is, I mean, it's very simple in that it's simple, but not easy. So it's very simple in that wherever you're putting your focus in the moment is determining the chemicals you're producing in your body, which determines how you feel and whether your cognitive thinking is online or not. But the problem is that when you're already triggered, when you're already feeling a negative feeling, it can be practically impossible to be able to focus on the good, because we're designed to focus on the danger. So those stress chemicals are stronger than feel-good chemicals, and that's why it can be easier to feel bad than to feel good. So the little exercise we're going to introduce you to today, and that we're going to practice together, is designed to get your brain and body lowering stress chemicals and producing feel-good chemicals automatically. So you will be doing it on purpose to begin with, but the more you practice this, the more your brain and body are getting conditioned to produce more feel-good chemicals, lower levels of stress chemicals. All right, so let's get started. So to start the exercise, you need a subject. And that subject can be, it can be a person or a pet, or an animal that's not your pet, but you just think they're cute, like penguins. Or it can be a place or an activity you love. So something you love, but without any negative emotions attached to it. So no, regret or missing or longing or guilt or anything like that. Just love and appreciation. So examples, as I say, pets or other animals, your child when they were a baby, as long as you're not worried about them or anything now, or Hawaii, or the beach, or shoes, or, whatever something you love, or gardening, you get the idea. Take a deep breath and close your eyes. And I want you to start by thinking of your favorite color. And if you don't have a favorite, just pick one you like. And I want you to imagine now that you're surrounded by that beautiful color. And feel the feeling of that color as it surrounds you, that beautiful, beautiful color. Very good. And now I want you to think of your subject, that person, animal, place, or activity that you love, and imagine holding that person, place, animal, or activity that you love in your arms in a hug. Imagine hugging that subject and feel the connection that you have with it. So feel the love and the appreciation. And I want you to now notice where in your body you feel that love. Most of you will feel it in your chest or solar plexus. And notice that physical feeling. So notice how it feels physically. So it may be like a pressure or a tightness. It may be very faint, but that's okay. Just notice it right now. And now I want you to imagine that physical feeling in your chest or solar plexus as a ball of light or energy. And imagine it spreading down to your toes, up to the top of your head, and out to your fingertips, so that you're now full of that light that energy, that love and appreciation. And now imagine that light or energy overflowing from you and filling the room you're in at the moment. Feel that expansion feeling as that light or energy expands from you and fills the room you're in. All right, you can open your eyes. Okay, so hopefully you felt something there. If you didn't feel anything or it wasn't very strong, let me know. So now is we just went through that once. That gives you a taste. What you just did there was you changed your brain chemistry, your brain and body chemistry, from stress chemicals to feel-good chemicals. So Nancy, let's unmute you. Yes.
Yeah, Odile, I have a question because I had a very strong visual image, but a very faint kinesthetic to go with it.
Okay, so when you say it was a faint kinesthetic, what was that kinesthetic?
Well, I'll be honest, I almost feel like I was making it up just to have a kinesthetic.
That's fine, yes.
I have a hard time accessing my feelings anyway.
That's okay. So, and you're not alone. So that's a very common challenge that a lot of people have. And so Steve actually came up with this little extra tip the other day for someone. So I'm going to do it with you, but everybody else, if you weren't able to feel the physical feeling of that exercise, follow along with this bit. Okay, so I'm going to lead you through it, Nancy, so I can get feedback from you as well as to how it's working, so that will help. So Nancy, I want you to take a breath in, and as you take a slow breath in, I want you to feel how your chest expands. Can you do that?
Mm-hmm.
Feel that feeling in your chest and hold that breath, and now hold your chest in that position and let the breath out. Can you do that?
Okay.
Were you able to do that?
Uh-huh.
Very good. Okay. So that feeling when you have your chest expanded and you leave it there while you exhale, that however that feels with your chest expanded, that's the feeling you're aiming for.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense? And that's for everybody else as well. That's the feeling you're aiming for. So it's like someone on the inside of your chest pushing it out slightly. And what that actually is, when you do that, so you've just done it with breath. Now, when you do it with the emotions, what that physical feeling is your heart physically expanding. So that's a physiological state of your heart, and it's the effect of oxytocin on your heart. Okay, and it's a very healthy state for your heart to be in, because what's happening physically in your body as your oxytocin. So the oxytocin is produced whenever you think of someone you love and you imagine hugging them. And it's produced when you physically hug someone as well, if you do it for a period of time. So as you're thinking of hugging the person, animal, place, or activity, your brain is triggering oxytocin to be produced. And as oxytocin goes through your bloodstream, through your blood vessels, it interacts with the little tiles, the floppy tiles on the inside of the blood vessels, and it produces a chemical that causes the blood vessels to dilate, which lowers blood pressure and obviously it allows more blood to the organs and all of that kind of thing. So it's a very healthy state to be in. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Very good. So for everybody else as well, just to clarify that again, what you're looking for is the same kind of feeling in your chest as you feel when you take a deep breath, you hold it, you keep your chest out, expanded, and you release the breath. So your chest stays in that. So it's kind of like stretching your chest a little bit. That's the feeling you're looking for. It's the same feeling you'll get if you love something and you imagine holding them in your arms. Now, it may take a little while. So if you're used to, like I was, living in a state of stress most of the time, your body's not used to to lowering the stress chemicals and producing those the feel-good chemicals. So you may need to hold that, imagining holding someone in your arm or something in your arms in a hug for longer periods of time in order for those stress chemicals to come down and the production of the feel-good chemicals to get to your heart and have that effect. So it's like if you've never run before and then you want to run a marathon, you need to do a little jogging each day, just sort of up and down and then round the block and so on. This is the same thing. So it's important not to force it either. So for a lot of people, it can start to feel uncomfortable. And that was me. It was very uncomfortable to begin with, and I couldn't hold it for longer than a few seconds. And that again is just because I was used to living in a stressed state. So if it's feeling uncomfortable, just relax, take a break from it, do something else, and come back to it. So the idea of this is to practice this little exercise over and over again. And if you, I will, for those of you who've signed up for this, I will email you a little MP3 audio guide that you can download onto your phone, and you can listen to that, follow along wherever you are. And as you do this, as you practice it more and more, your brain and body will become more and more used to it. It'll get stronger, it'll get easier, it'll get faster, although there will be some times when you can't do it. And that's the same with physical exercise, where, it's not a straight line of, it goes up and down, but overall it'll go up. You also don't have to close your eyes. So the closing the eyes is just in the beginning to be able to get that feeling, but you'll eventually find you don't need to close your eyes anymore. And you can do it as you go about your daily business. You can do it when you're having a conversation with someone else. You can do it while you're doing chores around the house, while you're walking, doing all those kind of things. All right, so it looks like everyone was able to do that, so that's great. Well done, everyone, because not everybody can always do it so quickly, so I'm very impressed. So let me just check in, Nancy, how was that for you this time? Did you feel it more, did you feel the physical feeling this time?
Yes, more of one. I can see how if I work on it, it's going to get better. And that knowing about that expansion, that was very helpful, knowing what to aim at, what I'm looking for. I actually even felt like my heart was stretching. So it was almost uncomfortable a little bit, and then it went away. So
that is exactly it. And the discomfort, as I said, I used to, when I first started doing this, it was really uncomfortable for me. But I saw it as, when you start touching your toes or doing any other kind of stretching that you're not used to, and then you feel that pull that's a little bit uncomfortable, and you don't want to push so that it hurts. You want to just do a little bit, then give it a rest, and then a little bit more. And that's what this is. It's exactly the same. So as that feeling starts to feel uncomfortable, then give it a little break and come back and do a little bit more, and it will become more and more comfortable. And I mean, I literally went from not being able to hold it for more than a few seconds because it was so foreign to me, it was so uncomfortable, to that's the state I live in most of the time now. So I can feel the expansion, but it's not uncomfortable anymore. And the wonderful news is that to change your chemical state from stress chemicals of negative emotions to feel-good chemicals of positive emotions takes 60 to 90 seconds. That's all it takes, as long as you're not going back to the negative thoughts. Okay, so if you remember, negative thoughts trigger stress chemicals, positive thoughts trigger the feel-good chemicals. If you keep your focus on this exercise for imagining holding someone in your arms in a hug for just a minute and a half without thinking about anything negative, you will have changed your chemical state. All right. And again, the more you do it, the easier it gets, the stronger it gets, and the more powerful, and you'll start to see knock-on effects in the rest of your life as well. So see how many times you can practice this between now and tomorrow. And as you can see, you can do it while you're doing other things. And then tomorrow morning, when we check back in, when we start the session tomorrow morning, I'll check in with everybody how you're doing, how it went for you overnight, and for today, and we'll answer questions. And so by the end of this week, all of you will be able to, as long as you come to these things and practice, all of you will be able to do this quickly, easily, and you'll start to see big results in your life. All right, so now I am opening the floor to questions.